Facebook says we're live.
Hi, Facebook.
And we're raw. We're live and raw.
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 It doesn't say raw. It says live, and we're white.
I'm raw.
I'm white.
You're.
Nice to meet you.
Mr. White, wasn't that a character in one of those Tarantino films, Pulp Fiction or something like that? Didn't they all have like colors? Or was it Reservoir Dogs where they all have colors because they can't know each other's real name, so they just have all these codes, which are Mr. Blue and Mr. Red and Mr. Pink, and you have no idea what I'm talking about. Right, we should watch Reservoir Dogs together. And,
we should.
It's just it's a real kind of family film.
Family film.
Yeah, it's one of
Is it going to be one of those where everybody kills everybody, and there's a lot of ketchup everywhere?
Yeah, I don't think anyone kind of really dies. They just have huge pools of blood everywhere. So real family entertainment. Yeah. When you're 18, kids, you'll be able to go and watch as much blood and violence as you can handle. Isn't that great? Right.
Oh God, it's one of those.
How do they get into? You ever wonder how they get kids into horror films? Right. The film will be an 18 film.
Yeah.
But the actors will be like age 7 and age 8.
I know.
How do they do that?
I know. I'm always thinking when I watch these films, I'm always thinking that must be so damaging for the child. I mean, I would shit myself if I had to. Seriously, if I had to be in a movie like that, I would be scared for the rest of my life. Seriously, I mean, I was scared just watching it.
You were in a movie, but you wouldn't be allowed to watch it. Can somebody explain that to me?
But imagine that you have to wear those freaky masks or whatever. They're like, okay, well, now you're seeing 2 ghosts without heads, so act like you're seeing 2 ghosts without heads, right? I mean.
Scream for me.
It's just scary. I don't know if I was a kid, that would probably traumatize me completely. But then I loved horrors as a kid.
You loved horrors.
I loved horrors. It's
the forbidden fruit, isn't it? Forbidden fruit always tastes sweet.
I told you how I used to steal my mother's library card and go to the adult library and borrow Stephen King's books.
Didn't the people working in the library work out that little you was not Big Mother?
I told them that my mother sent me to get it.
Oh, you lied.
Of course.
Of course they would be looking at you thinking, well, it's obviously not for her, so.
Yeah. I mean, how do you...
My mother used to send me to the shop to get
cigarettes
for her.
And alcohol.
She used to... and alcohol.
I used to go get cigarettes.
My mother never sent me to get alcohol.
No.
She sent me to get cigarettes. Here's the money, and here's a note for the woman, and here's a note for Dorothy was her name. Straight out of the Wizard of Oz. Right. Here's a note for Dorothy, and give her the note, and she'll give you the. I mean, send in your kids.
What? But you lived in a teeny tiny little village with 3.5 inhabitants, okay, including the dogs.
I think my mother was overly cautious.
Okay, and she gave you notes because I mean I lived in a medium sized.
Music in the background.
Yeah, I lived in a medium sized town, and I used to go to the local shop without any notes, and they knew me, right? They were like, I came in, and they would go, oh, right, you want this and this and this. And I just said, yes. They knew.
What?
They knew what I wanted, yes.
The moment you walked
I would just put like 3 bottles of beer, empty.
Well, it'd be a bit weird
3 beer bottles on the
if I walked into the shop and the woman just like, oh, you'll be wanting cigarette. Well, maybe it wouldn't.
Yeah, she knew exactly what kind of cigarettes I wanted, and she knew exactly that if I put 3 empty bottles of beer on the wall. That's just a song in my head.
3 empty bottles of beer on the wall, 3 empty bottles of beer. If one of those bottles should happen to fall, there'll be 2 empty bottles of beer on the wall.
Yeah, it's on the what do you call it?
The
bench?
Wall.
The bench?
The counter.
The counter, yes.
Counter
she knew that if I put 3 empty bottles of beer without the beer, obviously, on the counter, she's supposed to give me three full ones back, right? So it's all very easy.
Something wrong
easy
about
peasy.
Parents sending their kids to get the poisons for
cigarettes and alcohol. It's a song, no?
It's Oasis. In my imagination, because they couldn't speak properly.
Of course, yes.
Have I finally found something worth living for? It's a crazy situation, because I'm from the north of England. And all that I could have is cigarette. All that I can
but look at how well we've turned out, right? I mean, we don't drink and we don't smoke, so maybe it was positive.
No, it's not because of them. Right. It's got fuck all to do with them. Right?
That's funny because when we were kids, we were always very, very like against cigarettes. With like, I'm talking me, my brother, and my sister, right? And my brother was always extremely against alcohol. He was like, he wouldn't even eat those chocolates that have rum inside of them. That the rum pralines or whatever.
Disgusting anyway. God.
Oh, I like them. I loved the alcoholic chocolates, but never mind that. My brother was like completely against everything, right? And we're just, our parents were just your usual, normal, average people who, my dad smoked. My mom stopped smoking when she had us. And
a small glimmer of sense in an insane world, right?
And, my mom, she doesn't really like drinking alcohol either. She's like, she drinks one glass of wine and she falls under the table and she goes to sleep. Not under the table. She stands up and she goes to sleep. Anyway, so she doesn't drink alcohol. But my dad
your mother sleeping under a table in my head now.
But my dad would drink beer on your average day, and he would drink alcohol with his friends. And we were like completely discouraged by that, I suppose. Or maybe it was my mom's work that we were completely discouraged, because she always told us how horrible it is to drink alcohol and smoke cigarettes.
Even though
Daddy did it. Yes, she didn't quite like it.
That doesn't make any sense. I mean, you can't really. You have to lead by example. You can't really advise someone not to do what you're doing because it's bad. But what kind of message does that give?
But that's the point. She didn't really do it. And she didn't really
do what?
Well, she didn't smoke cigarettes or drink alcohol. She would only drink alcohol when there was like a New Year's Eve or somebody's birthday or whatever, right? But and only a little bit.
I think your father was drinking and smoking to cope with your mother.
I don't know which way around it was. I think they've both started out that way, and then my mom just kind of grew up and moved on, and my dad just continued, right?
That happens, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You hear about that. It's more somebody feels like, well, I've kind of moved on.
Yeah. And then she disapproved of the fact that he didn't move on, and he just continued just doing his, kind of teenager kind of thing. I guess that's where the conflict came from, right?
Well, it does when you grow in either different directions or different speeds.
Yeah.
There's a problem in the relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And anyway, she was trying to make sure that me and my brother and my sister, didn't start doing drugs and alcohol and cigarettes. So she always kind of led us in that direction, and didn't really work out. Worked with my sister, but only
let's
because...
see your. I'm not supposed to talk about that stuff, am I? So, I mean, let's see. Your sister is...
It's worked out with my sister.
Your sister is chasing religion, and I've got my theories why she's searching for that new father figure in her life. Your brother is...
My father. He turned into my father.
Does your father have... Yeah, he does, doesn't he? Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
My brother turned into my father. Yes. And I'm... and my brother...
Fill in the blanks. Okay.
Yeah,
you'll probably be right.
And my brother laughs at me because he thinks I've turned into my mother. Because I have 3 kids and no money, basically. Right, so there you go.
Is that your mother? Is that your brother's definition of your mother? Or is that your brother's biggest nightmare ever? Right, being stuck with somebody who has 3 kids and no money. Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah.
He does seem to be orientated towards financial
goals,
goals and things.
Yes.
I'm not saying that's bad in any way.
No, that's just a different kind of.
That people are better at different things.
Yeah, exactly.
So
he's not completely, he's I don't know. I guess he's a bit like me in the sense that he wants to do better. So he starts doing something like physical exercise, and then he kind of stops.
Has he been doing that? I didn't know he'd been
Yeah.
that.
He's got the same type of self-discipline that I do. When he feels that means 0. It means that when he feels motivated, he really goes on and pushes it, and he's good. And then life happens, and he just kind of slides and
in short, sustained bursts. He can make progress.
Yeah. He makes progress in short, sustained bursts. Exactly, just like me. There you go.
Well, when was your last burst of progress?
It's beginning right now.
You're having it right now.
I'm having it as we speak. Can't you see it bursting out of my every pore? Yes, it's progress. Whatever you're thinking, it's progress, nothing else.
It's not visible. It must be invisible progress. It must be something like that.
Oh, yes. Yes, I'm progressing, definitely.
We've simplified things today. We're not using any of the technology to stream on Facebook. Our second computer has crashed.
Everything's crashing here.
My main work computer, well, you can discover what happened on Facebook today. It just cut the audio out of my presentation. So
basically we're a -1 computer, right?
Well, I'd say we're -1.5 computers.
We're minus
computer that half work.
Okay, so we're -1.5 computers, right? We're minus Facebook ads, right? So we can't advertise.
It does actually belong in a museum.
Yes. So we've got extremely old, outdated, dusty, and tired computers. Facebook is sabotaging our business. Right?
There we go.
What else?
We're not really owning it, are we? In order to make progress, you have to own your problems.
Yeah,
right?
I know. I own my. I
am taking this computer, which no one can see. I will be taking to the computer shop this afternoon.
And I will be working on alternative ways of marketing, because this has just taught me a lesson that I cannot rely on one single marketing channel.
Have you just worked that out just now?
Well, not just now. I've worked it out.
10 different streams of income.
Do you?
Yeah, I've got 10 different channels.
Well,
right. So anyway, we'll talk about that.
There you go. Well, you know what?
Day. Well, I don't work for just one company, do I?
Yeah, well, me neither, do I? I mean, I've got my translations that I get money from, but that's not the point. The point is that
money. Welcome to the Practical Parenting Podcast,
where we strip off everything and give you all our personal information.
I'm not stripping off.
Stripping.
I'm not stripping. On Facebook Live. I'm not. Podcast guys, be happy that you can't see what's going on here.
Anyway, yeah. So
I thought we did look good.
My point with them. I've got something weird here and here.
You've got your horns coming out the side of your head again.
Yeah, I know.
You have to.
That's the progress.
You have to file them down or something.
That's the progress.
Progress.
Yeah, it's coming out of my head.
What are you doing now?
I'm just going to strip. First, I have to take
Jesus. And then first there was no hair, and now it's all hair.
Yeah. So, hi.
What? It's like a shampoo advert now.
Yeah. So, this.
Welcome to All Hair, No Hair.
So
you look like a mop, and I look like a toilet brush.
They're a good couple.
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 I don't even know what I don't even know what I wanted to say there. It's a cross between two and couple.
No, I wasn't talking about streams of income. I was talking about the fact that we have based the business that we have not the business. We have based the webinar project. Mm-hmm. That's a better way to say it. Mm-hmm. We've based the webinar project on Facebook marketing, basically.
Have you?
Because I have. Have you marketed anywhere else?
No.
Well, there you go.
Oh no, I have marketed through email.
Yeah, I don't have anybody in my email list, so I didn't really market it.
That's not funny. What are you laughing at? That's not funny. It's not funny that you've got nobody on your email
I know
list.
It's not funny, but I've only just started.
Please, somebody join her email list. Just that will bring a little bit of... How does somebody join your email list?
They have to register. They have to go to... What
are you doing with your hair? Stop it. Leave it. Let it go.
But I look like a mop.
Let it go. What?
Mop. I was just removing my horns.
She said after a busy day at the office.
I've had a busy day today. I've had a busy night last night. So that's still there.
Okay. On the podcast. Are you fixing your hair for the podcast? Right. Clever you.
Yeah.
Right. Clever you.
So yeah, that's what I was saying. I should look into Instagram marketing, and I know you think that doesn't exist, but it does. I look into Pinterest.
I don't get Instagram. Pinterest I like because I'm visual, but I don't see any of the marketing.
Pinterest, I've been told that Pinterest is for evergreen stuff that you can't really market like one time, actions there. Like you can't really market like webinars.
It's not the place for your garage sale, basically. Is what you're saying.
Yeah, you can put out products that are always gonna be there. Like after we record this webinar, I can put it out on Pinterest, right? As a replay. I can put the replay out.
No, you can't
now. Why?
Because why? Because the computer's crashed.
Oh, does that mean that we're not doing anything? You can still do it through Facebook, no? And then download it from Facebook.
You want me to download the video from Facebook and upload it onto YouTube?
Yeah. Is that?
I'll consider it. Well,
that's what we did at the beginning.
Yes, and then we found a better system.
Yes, I know we found the better system, but the better system doesn't work now.
So you want me to go back to downloading the video?
Only this one time, right? I mean...
What do you mean only this one time? Do you think I'm going to take the computer to the shop and the guy's going to come back in half an hour and it's fixed? It'll be there all week.
Well, then only
you
the
haven't
whole
thought about
week.
You haven't... Oh, now you've changed only one time into the whole week in the space of 10 seconds.
I mean, until the computer is fixed, obviously. Until the computer is fixed.
That could be a week, could be 2 weeks.
Yeah. I know, it's going to be a lot of downloading.
What? Is that cup big enough? Give me a wide-mouthed frog to drink from that. Right. You've lost your ear. What are you drinking?
Coffee.
It's strange. There's something floating in it.
It's cinnamon. Do you have a problem with my cinnamon?
No, I don't.
Good.
I'm sure there's a famous song entitled "Cinnamon Girl." Just reminded me of that.
I like cinnamon, and I like adding weird stuff into my coffee. I tried cardamom.
Mental
the other
note:
day.
do not
nice.
drink Yanka's coffee at any point in time. Because it's going to be full of weird stuff.
No, you wanted to say because it's going to be an adventurous experience. You know nothing about marketing, do you?
I save my advert. Right. What?
No, I've got adventurous coffee. It's really nice.
Okay, adventurouscoffee.com. It'll probably get you more likes and more clicks.
Come and have some coffee with me, people. Come and have some coffee with me tomorrow morning online.
That's not going to work.
Why?
because you don't have anyone in your mailing list.
Come and have some coffee with me online this morning, and as a reward, you can join my mailing list.
This afternoon.
Well, next morning.
Your marketing is terrible.
The nearest morning that comes.
Oh, like you mean tomorrow?
Yeah.
As if there were a variety of choices, right?
I don't know. Maybe for people in America, it's not this morning yet.
You love the way that people in America think that the whole world completely automatically understands all the slang phrases they use.
I like it.
That bugs me.
Why? I like it. I find it challenging.
I'm constantly wondering what it is that they're all talking about. When I hear people talking about phrases like, what did I hear the other day? Oh, he was doxxed. I'm like, what the hell is that? What does that mean?
What does that mean?
I don't know. I don't know.
Did he go to the docks?
Did he buy a boat? I have no idea. And there was I can't remember. There was I need my morning Joe. I was like, I think that might be cup of coffee, but I'm not exactly
Joe.
Sure. I just guessed that that
Joe.
was a cup of coffee.
Maybe she meant her husband.
Maybe it did. Maybe she did. It did. Whatever they did. I don't know. That's true. I have no idea. The Americans automatically assume that everyone knows all of their little bits and pieces of terminology that they use, and
little jargon.
Yeah, and by the time people learn it,
it changes.
It changes, and they move on to something else.
I know. Yeah. I'm always my mind is always boggled by their couponing. You can see, Pinterest. When you go to Pinterest and you're looking for like
couponing,
and you're looking for like tips for frugal living, and you find couponing, use coupons, and I'm thinking, what the are coupons, right?
What are they talking about?
What on earth are coupons? I don't have any coupons. Do you have any? I have croutons. Do you have any coupons?
Coupons. Isn't it just like vouchers for cheaper prices? Isn't that what they mean?
I don't, but they have a whole science out of it. They're like,
science.
I'm freaking living on coupons.
The science of coupons. It just means they're poor. Any society that has to live on coupons or vouchers or food stamps or any other thing to say.
In Slovakia, you get vouchers that give you like 10% discount, right? It's not going to change your financial situation if you use them.
Yeah, but those things don't work economically anyway, because the only reason that people can offer them is because they've set up a system. The only reason there's a system is because it's government sponsored, and that means taxpayer money is paying for it anyway, which just makes the whole thing more expensive.
And it's all just there to get information out of the consumer anyhow for the marketing purposes, so whatever.
Oh, like those reward cards. Yeah. Throw them away, guys. If you're wandering around with your reward cards and like saying, oh, I've got 56 points on this. And this person's saying, would you like to use these credits for this purchase or not?
Tesco is the best.
Throw it away.
Oh,
throw it away.
Look at that. The Tesco send me vouchers. They read my mind. They know exactly what I need to buy.
They're screwing you royally.
Exactly, because they're screwing. Every time you put that little card to that little reader and they read your little card, they're getting personalized information about you, about what products you're buying, and they take statistics, and it's just scary.
It's just so they can sell you more.
Yeah, and people are like,
thing as a real
what's wrong with that? That's good. At least they can give me.
Look,
wow, you found Mr. Bounce.
Super cool books.
Wow, and you found the French books. Yeah, we have to read those.
Oh, if you got the Mr. Man in French.
Yeah. We do. It's very, I thought that would be easy, but it's actually quite, I don't understand some of them. They're actually quite difficult.
A lot of stuff that is supposedly designed for kids is not for kids.
Or it is for native speaker kids, but it's not easy for learning kids.
Something like that.
You know what I mean?
Which ones have they got? They got Mr. Happy.
Come show us.
Show us the book story.
Come show us the books now.
We've got, can I take them? Okay, so we've got the Mr. Main books here. We've got Monsieur Boing 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 Boing.
Mr. Bounce, that one's in English.
Oh.
Yeah, it would be called Mr. Boing Boing. I'm pretty sure. Madame Oui.
Madame. Oh, wait. Madame Oui.
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 Does that mean Mrs. Small?
Mrs. Yes.
Mrs. Yes. Of course.
Oui.
Okay. Welcome to As Dumb as They Come. Right. With me. Is this legal? Can I show this on here? Oh my god.
Monsieur Curieux.
Monsieur Curieux. What is
Monsieur Curieux looked like
Right. Anyway, what does that mean in English?
Mr. Curious, obviously.
Like what?
Mr. Curious. Mr. Curious.
Oh, Mr. Curious.
Yes.
Long
That's
nose.
why he's got such a long nose, because he's nosy.
I think my brother. When you explain it, it just becomes immediately obvious. Like I'm wondering why I didn't get it in the first place. Okay, and then we've got this next one. If you're on the podcast, sorry, you can't see the pictures. But if you're watching the live streams on YouTube, you can see Monsieur
Farceur.
Farceur. And what does
Farceur means like a joker, which makes jokes.
Mr. Joker.
Yes.
Mr. Joke. Mr. Jolly.
Yeah, probably Mr. Jolly.
In English,
he's the one who does practical jokes too.
Oh, this one is complicated.
Madame Tétonnerre.
What does that mean?
Head in the clouds.
That's you.
That's me, Madame.
Except you don't have a car. But neither do I.
Yeah.
So,
well, she drove it backwards, so might as well be me.
Super cool. Which one are you going to read first, darling? You read the English one first.
Well, I don't know how to read yet.
Ah, well, we're working on it, aren't we? You know the letters, though. Can we do the letters here? Do you know what these letters are? At the beginning. Do you want to say?
I don't know.
Oh, he's all shy.
I need to learn letters.
That's okay. We can do that after we finish. We can do that this evening because you're always very focused in the evening.
Active.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Active.
Okay.
Okay, super cool. Thank you very much for sharing these with us. Why is she wearing a...
That's her apron. That's her cooker skirt, as she calls it. She's wearing a kitchen towel kind of thing.
Okay, yeah, because
it's her apron. She's a cook.
Ah, right. Naturally. Right.
Do you remember when she used to wear her princess dress and a Batman cape made out of a cloth nappy with a Batman logo drew on it with markers?
Vaguely. There's a lot of nonsense. So, I tend to let it come and go.
She likes to dress up as whatever it comes.
Okay, let's go. So I got some random psychology today, and I thought maybe we'll get onto that emotional stuff that we didn't get onto the other day.
Yes.
Isn't it simpler when we're just doing the Facebook Live?
It is much simpler, and I also weirdly, it feels slightly more private. You know, like when we've got ourselves there and there and there. I always feel like I'm doing this in front of a big audience. I know it's really stupid because it's just us looking at us from the monitors. But when we just do it with one stream, it feels a bit more
intimate. It's a bit closer. Yeah. I guess I wonder if like famous people kind of feel the same way about that. Anyway, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure I'm feeling like a famous person.
It's a risk, though. We're risking this system, though.
Yes, because we don't know if it's going to work, and we have no backup apart from the podcast, the recording with no picture. This is the hand sign.
Thumpers try to, I don't know, do what? Right. Okay, random psychology. Here we go. Have you been reading this? You're not supposed to read this. It's supposed to be secret.
Yeah, I haven't been reading it. I can't see anything. I'm not wearing my glasses.
For the people on the net.
I've just seen some weird symbols.
Right. Okay, don't look at it. Okay.
Okay.
So I thought I'd do this as a little bit of a guess what kind of.
Okay.
Okay, let's just go.
Let's do guess what. Okay.
Okay. Bananas contain a natural chemical that can make you happy. Did you know that bananas contain a natural chemical that can make you happy? It's exactly the same chemical that you find in. Guess what?
Is it potassium?
No, it's Prozac. Right.
Oh,
the chemical.
the chemical. Is it potassium?
I don't know. Does potassium make you happy?
I don't know.
I thought it just fizzled around.
I just know that they have a lot of potassium. So.
Yes. If potassium made you happy, people would just be like spooning tons of potassium into their mouth. No?
So if I eat a lot of bananas, I'm gonna be like I'm on Prozac.
Yeah, you've seen those gorillas, right? You'd be like one of those.
If they haven't eaten bananas, they'd probably be going totally crazy, right? Jumping up and down and killing everybody.
Why do you think they don't have any problems swinging from those trees? It's just like, oh, I don't care. Tree to tree. No problem, because I've had 100 bananas today. Men use on average. Okay, next part. Men use on average approximately 12,500 words per day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where they did this statistic. Whereas women use, what do you think?
20,000?
Yes, 22,000. Women use almost twice as many words in their average day than a man. That's because women talk more and bitch a lot. No,
that's because half the words that you're using are the same words beginning with F and S.
Fun and stuff. Yes,
yeah.
Right.
That's exactly what we meant.
Okay. Sleep is far more important for your health than
food.
Homework, apparently. Statistics show.
Sleep is
far more important for your health than homework. Apparently,
obviously. I mean, who would even think that homework is important for your health? I mean, that's just stupid.
Well, it might be important for your career. It might be important for making money. It might be important for your future plans. I mean, but if you're stuck with that choice, like do I cram and study more, or do I go to bed and get sleep? Always go to bed and get sleep. According to the science. According to the psychology.
I probably wouldn't have made it through university if I went by that, because I always studied the night before.
Or you would have always been sleeping if you'd followed that. Maybe. I don't know.
I didn't have time to study during the day because I was partying.
During the day?
Yeah.
I thought you were supposed to party at night.
Well, I studied at night. I partied
did you have it backwards, did you?
We did. We did. We'd start the party before school, actually, and then we would go to school, and then we would continue the party there.
Well,
students.
Grown up a lot since then, haven't we? Right. When a woman is attracted to a man, she speaks
Italian.
I wish I could say something in Italian right now.
She speaks more quietly? I don't know, with a higher pitch?
Have you read this?
No.
That's exactly what it says.
Yeah? More quietly and with a higher pitch.
Just with a higher pitch.
Really?
She sounded like one of those little toys for dogs that you squeeze. Yes. Oh dear, right.
Call me Squeaky.
Right, she said. Emotional pain, psychological perspective. Emotional pain in general lasts for no longer than
I don't know.
10 minutes. According to psychological studies, anything longer than that is self-inflicted. Emotional pain is like a short, sharp shock, according to psychology studies. Yeah, and that it's easy for people to get over it, but they tend to inflict the emotional pain upon themselves when they should move on to something else.
Really?
This is what it says here. I mean, look, I haven't.
That's a very interesting idea to ponder. I'm going to have to think about. I'm going to have to research that.
Okay.
It's a very, very interesting.
Feel free to disagree.
Idea. Because I've had emotional pain for hours, right? You know, when you've got emotional pain, right?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Have you not had emotional pain? You know, like you're heartbroken. Something just hurt you emotionally, extremely.
I've had that.
And you can actually.
I've had that kind of pain where I thought my heart was broken.
Yeah.
But then I kind of realized it wasn't broken by anybody else. It was broken by myself, and then I got over it. Went to the pub.
As you do.
As you do.
As you do.
There you go. Right.
Interesting. Isn't it? I'm gonna have to think about that.
Okay. Praising, and this is not really a guess it, but it's just an interesting piece of psychology. Praising effort encourages people more than praising talent.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, it's an interesting fact.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to get over it because sometimes you automatically, when you praise, sometimes you automatically go for the usual cliche, you know, you're so beautiful, you're so clever. But
thank you. Thank you.
But that's wrong. Obviously, that's wrong because what it does to the child when he does that, what it does to the child is labeling, and we talked about labeling before, right? You basically label the child, you're so clever, and you also set out an expectation, right? Because then later on they're going to think, I cannot fail because my mother thinks I'm clever. I have to be clever.
Or it could be my mother thinks I'm clever, whatever, so I don't have to be clever. Or is that just bizarre?
Well, that's not how it works, you see. That's usually not how it works. Usually children try to fulfill the expectations of the parent, right? So when you tell your child that they are super talented and clever, they are going to have that expectation on themselves. And when they do not fulfill that expectation, when they fail, which they are going to, because that's unavoidable. At some point in time, they're going to be shattered by the failure, because it's going to kind of crack their self-image, right? They're going to be like, wait a minute, but I'm clever. How come this happened, right? While if you praise the effort, then you know that you praise that, you know, you never give up. You really put hard work into it, and if they fail, they can go, oh wait, I never give up. I put hard work to things, so I can just go on and continue, right?
Excuse me 1 second. Well, that's far too loud. Can you take your tablet to your room, please? And maybe you want to go to the toilet as well, mate, as I can see you shaking your legs.
So you're
well, take the
well, go stick it on a charger. We've got a charger in your room. He's got one in there.
It has to come and sit right in front of it when you know. I
told you that before. Wherever you go, the kids want to be there. If the kids are playing in their room and you want to get out of there because they're being loud and you want peace and quiet in the living room, they're going to follow you.
Like
automatically. That they do it subconsciously. They don't even know that they're doing it. Yeah. It's just natural, I think.
It's natural. Okay. Moving on from the psychology to the emotional elements. There are I'm just about to cough.
Cough it out.
Swallow it down. There we go. Suck it down. Suck it up. Do whatever. Right. Emotional equations. So I discovered this on the internet, and I thought this was well worth diving into in terms of discussion about human emotions and different perspectives on how emotions are constructed. What am I talking about? Well, here's the first one to think about, right? Despair is suffering minus meaning. So when you suffer for no real reason, the end result is despair. Thoughts? Would that be accurate?
I have a problem sometimes understanding all the nuances of a word in English. Only sometimes.
I have a problem understanding the word nuance.
So it's a bit of a like despair. Despair is when you're feeling. What is despair? It's when you're feeling really desperate, right?
Okay.
So you're feeling like there's
no hope.
There's no hope. There's no point in doing anything.
Yeah, if you don't have a goal, then you're not going anywhere, right?
So suffering without meaning would probably be quite accurate, because you don't see any point in anything.
Strange things happening in the background here. Right. Okay. Not much more to say, really. Disappointment is expectation minus reality.
Oh yeah.
So you have these high, perhaps too high expectations.
Yeah.
And you don't achieve them. You don't get where you want to get to. You don't get the results that you want to get. You're a bit like the Scottish football team. And the result is disappointment.
And their strips were so optimistic.
Pink. I can only imagine like the Scottish football team walking into the dressing room and seeing those strips for the first time and wondering if it was like some kind of practical joke. Yeah.
And then they all put them on, and then they were all like.
Can you imagine? So I mean, you imagine like Scotland playing England, right? And all the English players are going to be like, nice shirts, guys. How demoralizing is that going to be?
Oh, I think pink is just stigmatized.
You wouldn't see the Italians wearing pink, would you?
I think pink is stigmatized because it's normal color.
It's not a normal color.
It's a normal color just because they started dressing girls in it all the
pink.
time.
They don't sell
yes,
cars.
They do. I had a pink computer.
You're weird. You had a pink computer. Are you serious?
Well, it had this pinky hue. I mean, it was like metallic, right? It's metallic, and it had this pinkish metallic color.
I think they probably.
It was my old HP computer that died because
I imagine
allegedly somebody spilled something.
If you've got
on
an old computer that you don't want, nobody buys it. You just spray it pink and sell it to a woman, right? Oh, this is a lovely color. I think I'll take this one. No thought about the processor or the graphics card.
No, he's just being stupid.
No,
you're just being stupid.
Am I?
Like I've never ever looked at those things when I was buying a computer, right?
I don't know.
Of course I have.
Yes. Yes. But the color was so nice.
And it was.
It had a lovely hue.
It was really nice. And I always consulted with people that know what they're doing as well. I consulted with my IT support, and I consulted with my cousin, who is a computer guy. So so that I get two opinions, usually conflicting, and then I have to choose one.
And you just go for the color. Right.
And I just go for the pink one.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Regret is disappointment plus responsibility. Okay, so how do we explain that?
If you're disappointed about something not working out the way you planned, and at the same time you feel responsibility for things not working out the way you planned, you're basically feeling regret that you, as a responsible person, didn't do more to make things meet your expectations.
Yeah, yes. You're left with the thought, if only, right? If only I had done more here, or if only I had done more.
If only I had partied less and studied more, I could have been.
So your inner voice coming out.
Yeah. Not sure what I could have been though.
Something else. Right.
I probably wouldn't wouldn't have met you though, if I partied less and studied more. Because I'd be somewhere else on that
What?
On that
What?
night.
The fateful night.
Yes.
It was a dark and stormy night when I got the call.
I was looking for the word faithful, but the only thing that came to my mind was accursed.
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 You haven't been reading too many Stephen King novels by any chance, have you?
Nah, I'm not reading that right now. I'm trying to read sensible stuff, but it just makes me fall asleep.
There's probably as much psychology in the Stephen King book as there is.
Oh my God, you have no idea.
You're right, because
you have no idea. I mean, people dismiss Stephen King because you know, like, it's all just blood and violence and scary, spooky ghosts and blah blah blah.
That's enough.
But it's not. He's got so much psychology in his books. It's amazing. It's amazing. His book Rose Madder was the best psychological picture of an abused woman that I've ever seen anywhere or read anywhere, right? It just gives you the whole complexity of the psychology of a battered woman. It's great.
The psychology of a battered woman.
Yes.
Was it Rose Madder or Madder Rose?
Rose Madder.
Rose Madder.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh.
It's genius, seriously. As are almost all of his books, especially the later ones, you know, because he really just gets better and better.
There's an indie pop group called Rose Madder.
Yeah?
They were really good, but probably not as good as the Stephen King books. Anyway, we were going to have a Stephen King series, weren't we? Watch all the Stephen King stuff, but then we realized most of the films are trash.
Really bad.
So,
but they've done it now. They've done.
Everyone is going to the cinema.
Isn't it?
Everyone is talking about it and
talking about it.
Yeah, coming out just before. You know what I said last week? Oh, wait for everything to pop up on Pinterest about the Halloween stuff. And it's like, I turned on Pinterest today. It's like, get your Halloween pins. See the Halloween pins first.
Yeah.
It's like Halloween has become the new Christmas or something.
Yeah.
It's.
I actually had a nice discussion on the virtual world, because I usually only have virtual discussions now.
You don't live in. Nobody lives in the real world anymore.
Anyway, interesting, because you meet a lot of people there, right, on Facebook with a lot of different opinions. When you in the real world, you choose your friends, right, and you choose your friends kind of, you know, people who understand you, who have similar values, and you don't get to discuss topics with people of different opinions, or with completely, you know, like completely different opinions. So I bumped into a thread about holidays, about Halloween, and there's a lot of people saying we don't do any holidays. You know, like, we're Christians, so we don't do Halloween, and we don't do Christmas, and we don't do Easter.
Sorry, we're Christians, so we don't do Christmas.
Yeah. Yes, because Christmas is not a Christian holiday.
That's like saying, oh well.
You know?
What?
Well, Christmas
the word
is not...
the word holiday comes from holy plus day.
Yes, but they come from the, you know how
I'm
Christian holidays.
I'm not going to celebrate the holiday.
Yeah, but you know how Christian holidays were made, right? I mean, the Christians came into the pagan world, and they fitted all their, you know, they created Christian holidays that would fit the pagan holidays, so that they don't piss off the pagans, so that they can get them to go to church, right?
Well, that makes sense.
And some Christians, not all of them, obviously, some Christians know that, so they decided they're not going to celebrate holidays that are based on pagan rituals, because it's not Christian, right? So they follow the Bible, and they've got the Jesus and everything, but they don't. I'm sorry, but they don't.
Got the Jesus
and everything.
And everything.
But they don't follow the traditions that are based on pagan rituals, because because they know where it comes from, right? They know that Christmas coincides with the time that the pagans celebrated the sun god, right, or whatever.
Yeah, and Jesus being the son of God.
Yeah, exactly. So they're
not in any way connected with the pagan traditions or the ancient Egyptian traditions at all.
Yeah, there is a slight cognitive, kind of slight, yeah, where they're still Christians, right? They still believe everything that's written in the Bible, but at the same time, they say that the holidays come from the pagan.
Oh, well, let's not have any holidays at all and have everybody working all the time.
I know. I think it's so sad. I mean, I just expressed my opinion, and my opinion is that we should celebrate the holidays. We should celebrate all the holidays that there are. We should celebrate them our own way, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that as long as people are positive about it, right? Mm-hmm. It does not matter at all where the holidays came from, right? There's no universal evil, because people were writing opinions like, people don't realize that Halloween traditions are celebrating evil and the dead and blah 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 blah. But my opinion is there's no universal evil sitting somewhere in a chair and going ha ha ha, they're celebrating me and they don't even know about it. As soon as people take it positively, right? As soon as people are positive and they remember their loved ones who passed on positively during the All Saints Day or whatever, right?
The Day of All Saints.
And the Day of All Saints. And not the atmosphere, but their feeling about it is positive. The vibrations are positive, that the prayers are positive. The evil cannot just claim that as its own, as something negative, because it's not. Even though that date might have been appointed for something negative in the past, that doesn't mean that it's negative now. I think it is what people make it now. It doesn't really matter how it came to be, in my opinion.
It's definitely true that you're born into a world that already exists, and you can't ignore those things.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to make the best of the things that you encounter in the world around about you, and you definitely can't be held responsible for what previous generations have set up,
yeah,
or the systems that are there. There is it's a choice. You can take the All Saints celebration and look at it from the perspective of, I'm going to spend time with spend time thinking about my family. Mm-hmm. I'm going to spend time with my family. I'm going to spend it in a positive way for me. Or you can look at the darker elements of it. It's a choice that people have to make.
It is a choice. And, I think that people think it's dark because of where it came from, or because it's about death. But I think as soon as you realize that death is actually not dark, and as long as people are not, summoning ghosts and demons and I don't know what, sacrificing goats and babies and whatever.
Don't know what
then
people are doing, right? You don't know. You say that, well, there's not somebody somewhere, right, rubbing their hands thinking, oh, I'm going to be getting something out of this. You don't know what's happening in other places. You don't know what's happening behind closed doors. All you can know is what's going on in your world.
Yes, but if there's evil, if there are evil people, they're not going to do evil things only at Halloween, right? They're going to do evil things whenever they want. It doesn't matter what date it is.
Yeah, there's also a sort of channeling and harvesting of energy that goes on as well. Is that the kids that are making that noise?
I think so.
Sorry?
I'm not sure. I think so.
Or is that somebody in their car outside?
I'm not sure. I don't know if I don't know if it's a tablet or if it's a car. I have no idea.
Sounds like kids. Okay. Anyway.
I know there is a channeling of energy, but that's what I was talking about before. I think that most of the energy is positive. No?
It's whatever you make
at least around here.
Out to be.
I don't know about America. I don't know what's happening in America. You're right about that.
There's so many different stories that are interwoven and connected through the traditions around Halloween. Not only is it different in home to home or from home to home, it's different from country to country. It's different from northern hemisphere to southern hemisphere. So,
yes, but the traditions are in general, the traditions are benign, right? I mean, take trick-or-treating. Yeah, they're dressing up as skeletons, but who cares what they're dressed up as, right? They're trick-or-treating, they're having fun, they're eating sweets. It's harmful to their health, but spiritually, I don't know, is it harmful? Is it bad?
Well, you don't want to play about with stuff that you don't understand. I mean that.
But you're not really playing about with it. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe not. We should watch The Devil Rides Out again.
Yeah. What's that? What's that?
Oh, it's a classic. I think Christopher Lee is in it. It's a classic horror film that deals with this. Deals with what we're talking about, of like people saying, well, that the devil doesn't exist, and then discovering that. Even if people having this opinion that, well, if we do what we do, it's okay that sort of they do what they do, and we ignore that thing that's going on, and they try to ignore what's going on, and they can't, and eventually they're forced to act to do something about it. It's interesting.
Yeah. I get
Devil Rides Out.
I get the fact that Halloween is kind of conflicting because it could be. It could motivate young and foolish people to try and play around with forces that should be left alone. Okay, if you believe in that stuff.
Well, there's a dark side. I've seen it. You don't want to tap into it.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm not saying that I've seen supernatural things. I've seen what happens to people over time if they continue to focus on it.
Yeah.
It's very self-destructive.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Especially
I'm not saying
mentalists.
Yeah. I'm not saying that there's no darkness or evil or devil or what you want to call it, right? And yeah, Halloween is probably kind of on the edge, but right where I live, I think it's positive because we don't really have the tradition of making fun of it and dressing up and stuff.
I like the fact that it's sort of bringing in winter. You can focus on the elements of light involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
Light is the protective and energetic, and a principle of goodness, and the kids have their fun with it as well. And as long as you focus on all of those elements and bring educational points into it as well, if you're a parent and you're doing the arts and the crafts stuff and you're building things and you're talking with your kids about what's happening, I think that's
even just talking about death is quite important to do with the kids. It brings in the topic that you don't usually talk about.
1 second. Hey kids, turn the sound off on your tablets, please. Or turn the sound down, please.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, did I tell you about the little conversation I had with Will the other day?
I don't know, did you?
When he just, in the evening, suddenly the realization dawned on him, and he told me, Mom, I'm so scared. I was like, why? And he said, I'm so scared about what's going to happen when you die. And I'm like, I'm not planning to do that anytime soon, right? He's like, yes, but you're going to die. And I'm like, yeah, hopefully when I'm old, right? And then we were counting, like, I'm going to be like 80 when I die, right? And he was like, okay, so I'm going to be like 50? No, yeah. And more than 50. And I was like, you're going to have gray hair by then, Will, And I was trying to kind of lighten up the situation a bit, and just so that he's a bit less scared. But he was like, oh, and he kind of started to process the the thought of me dying, right? And he said, and you'll be in heaven, and you will be calling me from the phone booth in my dreams, like in Once Upon a Time.
Once upon a time,
right?
they can call,
making phone calls from the afterworld, so he can talk to me in his dreams. And he's like, and I will go to your grave, and I will bring you flowers. And I was just sitting there on the bed, and I was just imagining myself in a grave, and will bringing me flowers, right? And it kind of just.
Wait, you were imagining yourself in a grave.
It just felt funny to me,
Bizarre.
you know, the fact that he was sitting there talking about how he's going to bring flowers to my grave just felt a bit funny to me. But yeah, I was kind of serious, you know, like, yeah, that'll be great, Mel. And he kind of processed it that way, you know. He processed it all, and he imagined the whole situation. And I said, remember that you're going to be all grown up, and you're going to have your own family, and you're probably going to have your wife and your kids. And it's like, yes, and you'll be their granny, blah, blah, blah. And he sort of went through the whole process. And then he calmed down, and he's like, okay, bring me some water. Cuddle me, give me a good night, kids.
Wow. I had this girlfriend once who wanted to take me to meet her mother, and she took me to the cemetery.
Okay.
Because her mother was dead.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know her mother was dead, of course, but found out soon enough. And I remember being in the cemetery, and she was talking to the gravestone.
Yeah.
And
she introduced you.
Yes. And I remember standing there thinking, this is a bit weird. I hope she doesn't ask me to say anything. Because I'm not quite sure what I can say to a dead person that I've never met in the middle of a graveyard.
You didn't pitch in the conversation. You didn't say, hi, Mom.
I just thought it was best to be quiet.
Okay.
Because it was all very strange for me.
How nice of her, though. How intimate. Opening to you like that. Maybe
yes. It definitely didn't feel like that at the time. It just felt really strange. I think if it's going to be like, an intimate thing. She should sort of feel that it's being intimate rather than weird. Right?
Okay.
So
maybe you were just too young to understand, and too. I don't know if I should say that. Okay.
Immature. Still?
No. Too full of testosterone to appreciate things like that.
That was a nice gravestone. Oh, that's not what you meant. Okay.
No.
Okay. Fair enough. We'll do one more quick emotional equation, and then we'll.
How did we even get to the graves from the equations?
Halloween. We somehow got to it through Halloween. Yeah, I was thinking that I was thinking of pointing out this one. Okay. Workaholism. Okay. Is what you are running from divided by what you are living for. Workaholic. I'll say it again for those of you listening. Workaholism is what you are running from divided by what you are living for. Now, how you can divide one concept by another concept, I'm not exactly sure, but this idea that people are running from things or to things, and that workaholism can be symbolic of the fact that you're trying to escape something that you haven't let go of, and you're trying very hard to get somewhere, but you're maybe not so sure that you can achieve that.
I think any type of holism is really escapism, isn't it?
Any type of what?
Holism.
For example?
Alcoholism. Workaholism.
I can only think of those two. Are there any more?
I don't know. Chocoholism.
Chocoholism. Studentaholism.
Shopaholism. There is such thing.
Is that a word?
You can be shopaholic.
You can be a shopaholic. Yes, that's very true. Yeah, I mean, I find that to be bizarre. To be honest.
Is, but it exists. I mean, there are people who've got massive messes at home hoard things upon things upon things and shop for more. It's kind of obsession, isn't it? It's kind of OCD. Yeah.
OCD,
Yeah.
I believe. Obsessive compulsive
Anyway,
disorder.
it's a kind of escapism, isn't it? When you escape from your life to your work. It's a bit like when somebody is a gambler or whatever, but they just, you do it with work, so it's even easier for you to think that it's positive because, but I'm working. That's a positive thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, not always. Not always.
Interesting point. Yeah, the people dive into work to escape other issues that are circling them. Right. How did it feel doing a stripped down, simplified version today? What do you think?
Well, it feels nice. I told you how it feels. It feels a bit
more.
more.
I'm less distracted when there's only one camera.
Yeah.
And when there's two cameras, even though I know that I don't have to look at that, I find myself drifting towards the other camera anyway. Yeah. So
I like this. It's kind of, I told you, when the monitor's off and there's nothing running there, it feels a bit more personal.
Well, we did start off with it kind of being like that, and then built up everything
on the balcony there. It was still warm, wasn't it? That was just a month ago when it was still warm.
It snowed yesterday.
Yeah,
there's
snow in the hills.
Unbelievable.
And the winter is coming. I'm going to hibernate. Sorry.
We're still live, by the way, just in case you think we're
Yeah, I know. Wait, right. Baby.
Okay. Any final thoughts? If you're interested, leave your questions and comments on Facebook. I will somehow mirror some of the information and get it up onto YouTube. I'm not exactly sure how. The podcast will be up there, and maybe this will be up there as well. I don't know at the moment. I'll do the best that I can with the things that I have. What else? The Academy of Language Therapy and Life Coaching. Check that on Facebook and on YouTube. And
21st Century Mum, spelled MUM.com. Or without the .com, if you're looking for me at Facebook, I've got a group and I've got a page. So if you want to like or join, feel free. You'll be very welcome. Ta-da!
Right. Thank you very much for tuning in. This was the Practical Parenting Podcast, and we'll be back very soon with some more ideas to drive you forward. There you go.
Yes.
What do I do now?
Bye-bye.
I say bye. Bye.
Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye. Click finish. Click finish. Click.